If you're a man, you don't cry about it. You take life, the ups and downs. If you're a real man, you never go down, you just stay up. That's why this sport coat costs $800 and that costs $200. And I don't know what that costs, I'd be ashamed to wear it. That's why I'm wearing lizard shoes and a Rolex watch.
Importing it, snorting it, any competition extorting it, anything I want affording it, got enough crack to get four to hit, turn a saint to a sinner, lose to a winner, whether old school or upbeat, getting my shit's the best, Rick's the best, have your heart beating right out your chest, that Ric Flair like, woo! That Ric Flair like, woo! This is all I do, I got that Ric Flair like, woo! Woo! Styling, profiling, that Ricky make a girl go, woo!
His fat hand. Hey, you've reached Goblin and Ogre.
Welcome, friends.
Were you hoping that came up on the mic?
Oh, it didn't?
I mean, I think it'll faintly be heard, but
Okay.
not much.
It was right by the camera head, so I figured.
Yeah, we don't use that to record.
Yeah, there's no audio being recorded on the camera.
You've reached
I mean,
Goblin
there
and
is,
Ogre.
but I don't use it because you would hear a lot of that music and, you
That
know.
wonderful reggae music.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice.
You know what I was noticing when you were testing the mics? I don't know why I've never noticed this before. You have the sexiest of voices. Very, very like deep and, you know, like to be read, like a narration
Are you hitting on
voices.
me right now?
I'm hitting on almost everybody right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Things.
So don't think it's not special.
Nothing personal.
I find something sexually appealing about everybody, and that it's like a game I play.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Mostly men.
I can get behind that. I guess maybe the Trump victories got you a little frisky, or
Oh yeah, we should. I forgot. I was gonna play like the U.S. national anthem, and I forgot
Why don't you play it like
at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll
We'll-
just play it at the that. That
put
makes
it
it
in post.
easier.
Or just
yeah,
play
I
it-
could just put it in post.
or play it throughout the entire episode. It's just faintly in the back. Yeah.
just constantly playing the U.S. anthem.
Oh shit! Where's my busy?
You know, it's like a fun fact about the American national anthem. That's a song about losing a war to Canada.
Oh, yeah?
What do you mean? It's about? I would have to go over the lyrics.
So the battle that he's describing takes place, I believe, on Lake Superior.
Yeah.
Between like a few different. There's like if you've ever seen the border between Canada and the U.S. through Lake Superior, there's and also Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. There's like a bunch of random islands, and so they had a fort that we / the British were just murking the shit out of this place. But, you know, the War of 1812 is pretty interesting history, but that's where the American national anthem comes from.
Oh.
And, I mean, sure, they call it a stalemate, but we did burn down the White House.
We say we won, but we were the British at that time, so the British beat them and we were them.
Yeah.
But no, that's not. It wasn't a stalemate at all. They lost
Definitively. But I mean, honestly, the British wanted to take Michigan and make it like a Native American state. So the British didn't really win either. You know?
Right. They didn't get everything they wanted.
Yeah.
All it proved is that at that time, Canadians were badass, and since then, well, no, during World War I and II, we were still pretty badass, and then that's when we kind of took our dip.
We were too badass at the end of the Second World War, and America was like, hold on, you fuckers invented the first fighter jet to break the sound barrier. Shut that shit down. We'll protect you. And ever since then, we've been weak bitches. But, you know, like Canada, when World War I, there weren't really laws against war crimes.
Yeah.
And, like, Canada's part of why those laws exist, because, like, it's not a war crime the first time you do it, right?
Oh, good for us. We're first.
You have to do it first.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then be realized, oh, man, we committed an atrocity there. Right?
That was wow. Well, it was like, you know, that like fun story that they share about like, oh, World War I, it was so peaceful, sort of. Sometimes, you know, they do the Christmas truce. Not Canada. We would shoot the Germans when they would come over offering cigarettes, or You know,
Here's the thing about doing something first is absolutely true, is because that works the same for like if you're at a workplace or something like that. I know Lee, Mr. Get Fired 20 Times thing. You're like the Ric Flair of workplaces. You're like, I'm the 17-time hiring champion. I've been hired 17 times, and we just ignore the fact that you've been fired 16 times.
But I've been hired.
I've been hired.
I've been defeated. Like I had to give up my cubicle.
Yeah.
But you know, so I always come back stronger and older.
not necessarily wiser.
No, but always relevant.
But in work, if you do something wrong, but you're the first, like no one told you not to do that, you can get away with the excuse of, I didn't know I can do that. Like, I've gotten away with that before, is I do something I'm not supposed to do, and then when they're like, hey, you can't do that, I go, oh, you never told me. And then I slide on it.
What do you mean I can't jerk off in the bathroom stall?
It doesn't say that in the
Sanker used to
credo.
work at CNN.
You mean I have to shut the bathroom stall door? I use it.
When I use it.
Interesting.
All right. I mean, different companies.
I didn't know we were in a fascist regime here. Jeez.
Not anymore.
You know what's so funny?
No, we're still in ours.
I know we're Canadian, so I can use the excuse of that. But I won't lie. I woke up this morning, saw texts from my friends that Trump had won, and I was like, I didn't even know the election was yesterday.
Yeah.
I go, oh, all right.
Well, I mean, we did with the Young Cucks. We did like a broadcast of us getting drunk and reacting to it.
Yeah.
And like, there's that younger cuck from New Brunswick that was he's like super gun ho about Trump, and it's just like, oh my god, man, it's not our election.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I
can
mean,
laugh, you can whatever. Yeah,
But he is an exciting guy. Yeah, Trump is an exciting guy to watch.
no, I get
You know,
that,
like
but
it's
like, look, on the flip side for people on the other end of the political spectrum, like when Obama won, like I people were excited, but they were like, we did it, and I go, we did nothing. We still haven't elected a black prime minister, so we don't get to like be like, we did it. We didn't do anything.
I mean, like, I don't know what electing a black prime minister.
No, but I'm just saying.
do.
I'm just saying.
Like,
to say
maybe
we
a native
did it.
one if we're gonna play the
Yeah.
tokenist game.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, honestly,
You know?
if there was a and I'm not talking like one of these. I make sure I get my tax benefit natives, like
like a pretendian.
Yes. Oh, I heard that.
Pretendian.
I heard that recently.
yeah.
Pretendian. Yeah. No, I mean like a real like Lee Fernandez looking. Oh, sorry. Let's take my diabetes medicine.
Oh shit.
Joking.
Wilford Brimley.
I have diabetes in the weight, like Schrodinger's cat.
Okay.
You know, I just haven't tested. I don't have it.
That's like my lung cancer.
Yeah. You don't have it.
I don't
because you don't know you have
I've
it.
quit smoking, so maybe we dodged the bullet.
There you go. Your voice sounds great.
And cancer doesn't kill you.
I mean, it just
doesn't.
makes you stronger.
It's the radiation treatments that they give you
It's
that
true.
murders you.
I mean, yeah. So we've all seen Run from the Cure. Okay, that's
It doesn't make you stronger though. You have
No,
cancer,
but
you
it
don't
doesn't.
do well.
It doesn't kill you. I mean, it's just it's like a rash.
like if you
It doesn't go away.
It's like a rash, man. You leave it alone and it goes away.
Is that supposed to be me?
Yeah. You
Que
should know
pedo?
it's you. This fucking asshole, our last episode did so many Mexican accents for his own cousins. And I'm like, at one point I go to him, I'm like, Peruvians don't sound like that. And he goes, I know. But anyway, we should actually legitimately discuss. So Trump did win. I'm not a fan of that or anything. The only thing I wasn't a fan of was I hated the idea that people are like, like one of my friends texted me, America's so fucked, because he's more left-wing liberal, right? He's like, America's so fucked. I can't believe they're this fucked up. And I just hate the idea of not understanding why the other side won, whatever side it is, in the same sense that when Trump lost, you should take, some sort of understanding of why he lost, maybe, pivot a bit,
But none of this would have happened had they not rigged the last election.
that's the bigger point. There's definitely 20 million random people that didn't vote this time around, which just 20 that's like 4 cities of Toronto that just didn't show up to vote across the United States. That's a big number.
They can't rig it again, though.
I mean, the thing is that
It was the presence, the online presence for Trump was too thick. It was too powerful this time.
They tried. They tried. Like there was video footage of them trying to sneak ballots into Detroit, but like, what difference is stealing Detroit going to make? You know, it's already, you know, that's not a big deal. Yeah. And I think the bigger point to remember is that, like, you know, Joe Biden did give the eulogy of a wizard of the KKK. So, like, you know, to cheat, there's like that extra incentive. You know, Biden was part of like the pedophile crime syndicate. So there was that like extra incentive for sure. Whereas Kamala is like kind of a scapegoat and a fall lady. You know, so that's a big thing there. And I don't know. I look at the 2020 election as like, you know, tinfoil hat fully. I think it was 100% stolen. I think there's 1 million dead Slavs now because that election was stolen. And now, you know, this war in Ukraine, Russia is probably going to end before Trump even steps foot in the Oval Office. You know, like it's already been negotiated, the end of the war in Ukraine.
I've become, and maybe I've been hanging out with Lee too much, but I've become I mean, it'll only end if they want it to end. So to me, even Trump is... he's just entertainment for the masses.
What's so funny about that is, like, I do honestly hold the belief that both sides work for the same hand. But I like Trump so much. It's like almost you think you have a gay son. Like, the signs are there that he might be, you know, an elitist pedophile ring. But I choose to ignore it. Because my son's so charismatic and fun.
For you, it's if you were American, voting for the American election would have been similar to voting for American Idol. It's just you want Trump to get the $1 million contract so that you can hear more of his music versus, you know, what was that gay guy that lost in the first season? Clay Aiken. Like,
Didn't Clay Aiken win?
Oh, maybe he did win.
I mean, his career lost for sure, and we all lost because of it.
Well, he didn't do well.
We're still feeling the effects today.
I'll tell you, the last time I saw Clay Aiken, like in media or whatever, he was
through a glory hole. You faggot.
Hey. My hole was through the hole. My hole was through the hole. Oh, I just made myself sound gay. My dick was through the hole.
So you're pushing your asshole up against the drilled hole.
Squeeze my sphincter through it.
How horrible. Protruding asshole coming through the glory spot.
I show my prolapsed anus. Yeah, whatever. No, the guy who lost to Kelly Clarkson.
Stuttered, the fat guy.
No, but he did well.
Yeah,
he had a career.
Didn't he die recently?
Oh, I don't know. I assume based on the weight, but no. Justin. Some guy named Justin lost to Kelly Clarkson.
Right.
We just wanted to hear from Kelly Clarkson more, and we don't. I see the U.S. elections the same as, like, who's going to be more entertaining for the next few years, because I do believe in the secret cabal that actually runs things.
Oh, for sure.
So it's all bullshit.
Yeah, Kamala was just not good at her, like, weave. You know, like, Trump's weave is, like, primo. You know, you're getting, like, beautiful tangents. He'll weave in, like, an alien invasion subplot. Whereas, like, Kamala just... It's just, you know, it's bullshit political speak. You know, and that means she's probably raped too many kids. You know, so she's like, she can't weave as elegantly.
What's too many?
I say, like,
I think one.
I'm with Lee.
Oh wait, you're not supposed to rape a kid?
Yeah.
Nobody told me that.
Like, you get exactly.
You tell
you
him,
get the one
cousin
free
fucker.
excuse. You get the one free excuse. Like, I didn't know, but then, like,
I thought she was 18. I get you.
yeah, little callback there. Little callback.
But yeah, no, I think Kamala was kind of fucked from the start, because even if, whether you like her or not, the whole fucking rigmarole or nonsense of, like, Biden's still going and then Kamala, that was like...
But she's so like Hillary, they're just unlikable. They're just such unlikable women.
All women.
All women trying to win a position where they get to tell me what to do or tell the country whatever. I don't like.
No.
Yeah, I just think women in politics generally don't understand how unlikable most of them are.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I think Kamala could have won that year Hillary really went for it. Maybe. I'm not saying she would have, but she had a better chance than Hillary. Hillary is the epitome of a fucking horrendous, ticket to sell.
Spoiler
she's-
human being. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, they tried to steal for her too. It just happened.
but that's
like,
what I'm
the
saying. This
same
was like a
way.
last minute
Yeah.
thing, and I do believe the Trump excitement was already going and stuff at this time. At that time, I think that was Hillary's to lose, and she's not likable.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I mean,
And
she did
just
go
like
to
Kamala.
Epstein Island a lot as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's weird.
I mean,
What are you doing there?
Lee's been there, so I don't want to
Okay.
throw that out
I mean,
there.
I didn't know you were friends with Ellen DeGeneres.
Who do you think taught her how to dance?
Okay. Those are some sick moves, I gotta say.
telling you.
Yeah, no, I got a message from my friend, and this was when I realized like I've been hanging out with Lee too much. My response to the Trump thing was, they go, "It's crazy, eh?" or whatever. My friends are going back and forth, and I go, "Well, either way, I'm more of a believer in the evil cabal that secretly runs the U.S. government, regardless of who is president." And that was the only thing I said on it.
That's
because
anti-Semitic, Sanker. I can't believe how anti-Semitic you are.
do you
You
have
use
against-
the word cabal.
I didn't say
even.
cabal.
What do you have against
Steen.
Jews?
Well, no, but cabal is like a...
Oh, is it like that comes from like
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'll use a different word.
You're
Kabbalah,
locked in
Kamala.
already. Oh man, how did that not make it
Kamala
into
Harris, yeah.
that should have made it into the election cycle for sure. God damn.
All right,
Would
well,
have been
I'll think
bigger,
of a different-
bigger
I know.
Trump turnout.
Come on, Donnie, answer my calls. You need me.
You know?
Donnie, he's your friend.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey,
Hey, big DT.
Double trouble.
all right. Well, I didn't know cabal was Jew. I just mean whatever team, underground evil team, Illuminati. I want to
Again,
say
who's
Illuminati,
building the
but I don't
tunnels?
believe
Who's building the tunnels?
the Mexicans the Jews hired.
Okay, there
Oh,
we
look
have
who's
it.
to blame.
Oh,
He shook his head.
Because we all know it's the Chinese. They're the number one tunnel diggers.
Oh,
we
man.
dig ditches or like holes, but we don't dig tunnels.
I'm not gonna lie. Tunnel diggers sounds like a racial slur that I might have to bleep out. I don't know where it is, but something in there. When I heard you see tunnel diggers, I go, "That's got to be in some dictionary somewhere."
you know, Lee's actually onto something with the Chinese here because I recently did a cross Canada RV trip with my family.
Oh, beautiful.
And the surprise sleeper hit of the tourist traps that we went to on our trip was the tunnels of Moose Jaw, which was like a fun little exhibit that they have in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where they have a bunch of tunnels that like connect buildings underground, and they have like 3 different tours. One of them's like an Al Capone style one. One of them's like a Cold War era, like we're going hiding from the Russian Soviet threat thing, and then the third one is like a very depressing Chinese people are oppressed. They created Canada and they dug these tunnels tour. We went with the Cold War tour. It was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. I 100% believe in other countries or people from other countries' influence on ours, on others. I think we have on other countries. So to believe that's in any way like a crazy thing to say is dumb because that's just what countries do. We fuck other countries, and then other countries fuck us, and then sometimes we let other countries fuck us because
it feels good.
It feels good. It helps with money and stuff like that.
Like the Italians, think about this: noodles and pizza invented in China.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've been on this thing for a while that
Noodles are just Chinese spaghetti. You're right.
all things that we like from Italy, like meaning the non-Italians go, I fucking love Italian food. It's all things that were invented recently based on ingredients they took from other countries.
Right.
Like,
That's true.
the simplest way is, look, I do know, like, I know my girl and her daughter love, like Alfredo or whatever, like a cream sauce. I know they don't call it Alfredo there, but a cream sauce. So you can put those people aside. But for the most part, people enjoy a red sauce pizza and a red sauce pasta, spaghetti or whatever. Tomatoes are not indigenous to Italy. They stole them from, and then look, fine. They made deals and got them, procured them from South America and like Mexico and stuff like that.
What?
They're not from.
I
They're not
didn't know
native.
tomatoes are not
They're not
European.
native to Italy, and
That's
that's why
crazy.
Italians are frauds. Everything they do that we like, they didn't have in their rich history of, oh, we're fucking Romans. Fuck you.
I mean, the Swiss are the Romans, if we're
You
going to
know,
get specific.
Italians.
The Swiss are the Romans?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Romantage. That's like the fourth official language of Switzerland. That's like the closest language to the
What
ancient-
Romans were speaking. Yeah.
And you look at the geography, like the end of Rome is a lot like how fucked up America is right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, think
I've heard
of
this.
all the smart people at some point are going to go hide in the mountains. And that's where like the English that's going to be closer to today is going to survive.
Because stupid people don't know how to
500 years.
climb.
No, and you have like a natural defense
bring
in the
oxygen
mountains.
tanks. Yeah.
Well, and plus, I don't know, the Appalachians, I mean, that'll morph into some crazy language in like 500 years. I mean, all right, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna
That
sound
is
like
true.
young people lingo like today, like that's cap, or like it's gonna be like, what the fuck are they
I've
talking
been
about?
risen 7 years ago. See,
That is true, though. That is how languages become other languages, is just slowly what started as slang or mixing in other languages slang into your language.
Yeah.
It becomes a new language. So it's true. If you come, like, to the Appalachians in, like, whatever, 1,000 years, they're going to be talking some other language. It's not going to be English or discernible to someone who's an English speaker anymore, which is crazy. That's how, like, even Boston is going to be, like, some other language that we're just like, what the fuck are they saying? And
I mean, have you heard like what Old English sounds like? Like recordings of Old English that was spoken maybe 400 or 500 years ago even? It sounds like weird, like drunken German.
that makes sense because English is of majority a Germanic language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meine Sonne ist sehr klug, ja.
He's like, I don't know. I barely speak Spanish.
or English.
Nein, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
That's another language. I've always hated any Latin American pride in the Spanish language. They're like, oh, my kids don't even speak Spanish. Who cares? That's the language of the people who raped your people.
Right.
Who cares?
Exactly.
You should speak Mayan,
I mean,
whatever that language is.
I take it. I take a different
There's a lot
view.
of clicking in there.
If we're going to be picking and choosing on the indigenous, like I like the indigenous of North America.
Yeah.
I think the Spaniards did nothing wrong in South America. You know, those evil Spaniards ending child sacrifice.
Okay.
What a terrible thing that they did.
And all they did by interbreeding with us was make us kind of sexy.
Yeah, that's true. You ever see those? Look, you're half Peruvian. You ever seen the more Peruvian, like the more Incan looking people? Oh, what an ugly folk! You get a little nice southern Spain booty in there, and fix those fucking 2-inch long torsos they have for some reason.
With their extended skulls, yeah.
You got all these big heads. Did you just play GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember there was a mode you could set up. It's called DK mode, where the head is really big.
the huge
That's what Incans
heads.
look like.
Maybe that's what inspired the statues on Easter Island. That's just how big their heads were.
Just massive, full of knowledge.
They were in DK mode, man.
You know what's funny? The only knowledge that's left from the Incans that people really want to figure out is how did they figure out. I watch a lot of bullshit. They were able to get water to go uphill. That was like their big. Like the rest is kind of like we don't really care
Like their
anymore.
star mapping stuff. That's pretty popular too.
Oh yeah.
But like the weird thing is, and like because I'm friends with Dimitri, I get earfuls of these arguments all the time.
Yeah.
The Mayans believed the world was flat. So it's this weird thing where it's like they have superior star mapping to any ancient people, but then. And what I think is they were just manipulating the masses by telling them they were on the back of a flat.
So wouldn't
thing.
it be like if the Earth is flat?
Oh, it's
and
not.
this is a dimension. No, but wouldn't it be like kind of like dimensions are kind of stacked on each other then?
Well, that's like quantum mechanics to a certain degree. Yeah, and that's like you're getting into like the concept that there's 11 dimensions to reality, and that there's a really cool like 10-hour YouTube thing if you want to do like LSD and just veg out for a while.
Yeah.
It's called Imagining the Zeroth Dimension, and this guy like breaks down how all the different dimensions kind of come together, which is 11 if you count 0 as a dimension.
Right. Okay, so there's 10th dimension, and then but
Which
you
dimension
count
are we
zero.
in?
Well, fourth,
The fourth dimension.
because like time, right? Like so we're
Three dimensions, and then fourth dimension is the time. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. I never really understood. Yeah, that I have a lot. I was very bad at school, so I like some of that is like I want to argue and I want to like debate, and I'm like I need somebody else to do it.
I mean, maybe you just had bad teachers, though.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
sounds, when somebody really breaks down quantum mechanics and alternate universes and dimensions, it just at some point sounds like they're making it up. 'Cause
Yeah.
you go
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
where do I start to become as smart as you? Because I want to know where to go first.
Well-
Because I feel like I'm aiming too high if I wanted to learn this.
You don't want to get sucked into quantum bullshit.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's like
Here's the truth about like science is what you just said is the most true scientific thing ever, which is at a certain point they're starting to make it up. Yes, they're making it up, and they're hoping by testing they'll figure out they were right, but they were making it up.
Yeah.
and they have a hard time of letting go when they've been disproven by the evidence.
Right.
Which is like another
Yes.
interesting thing about the scientific
Like they
community.
stick to the lie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, for example, the whole Darwin thing, right? Like people, for a lot of people that are scientists, that became their religion. They
Right.
have no belief in like a higher power, creator, or anything else like that.
Which is so stupid. Because then you were like, well, who designed this? Who downloaded all this? Who created this?
Well, to be
doesn't
fair, they
just-
have a rebuttal. They go, "No one designed it. It just."
It's
That's
an
the
accident.
stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Well, because it's like,
how?
it's because they never really considered the mathematical possibilities of like just random mutation leading to intelligence, complex life. Like that's like if you put your clothes in the dryer and you put it through a dryer cycle and then all the clothes come out perfectly folded.
right.
What are the odds of that happening?
Right.
Like it's like 1 in a billion or what. And for whoever that wants to argue that like that evolution is like the ultimate truth, they ignore the statistical impossibility of us being what we are, because I think a lot of them, they're afraid of like some kind of spanking from a sky daddy that they don't believe in, which I
I find it interesting. Like when I saw this thing on quantum physics, and it's just like how molecules or atoms behave differently when they're being observed. Like when no one's watching,
Yeah.
they're kind of like straightforward with whatever.
double slit
But
experiment,
But
yeah.
once like there's an observer, it reacts differently. So it's almost like our free will, our behavior. It's almost like if we put ourselves in a spot of we're atoms, we're like little molecules. Something's observing us. So it's like, what if what's observing us?
sometimes
is-
it's not too.
Well, sometimes no one's watching,
And that's where you have the most liberty.
and you just jerk off for hours.
And that's why Jews wear a kippah.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
Oh, they hide. Oh, that's to hide masturbation.
yeah, well, it's to hide your thoughts from God.
Yeah. That's not how it works. But yeah.
Well, but you know, I know, but I feel like sometimes God's not watching. You know, that's an
It's their,
unpopular.
it's their tinfoil hat.
here's
the keeper.
Here's here's my latest belief is that it's not God. It's not that there's times he's not watching. There's just things we think he cares about, and why the fuck would he care about that? Like, it's not important. It's like if my brother is buying a smoothie, I see it happen, but I don't give a fuck. Like, that's not something that I care about.
Or like sometimes people make
weirdest
the
example.
argument of like, oh, why does war and destruction happen? And it's like, all right, you ever play a game of Call of Duty and you watch somebody die? It's hilarious sometimes. Do you ever think God's looking at war being like, this fucking idiot?
Yeah. Or if you do believe in the whole like heaven thing or whatever, God is like, I know it seems harsh, but it's fine. You're gonna be better. You know?
Well, and that's how the Muslims look at it, right? Like that's how like a Muslim guy can pick up his baby that's been blown in half and say like Umdallah, which means like, you know, I'm grateful for this experience, God, and like, you know, he's praising God. Like I could not imagine
Alhamdulillah.
like picking up my dead son and being like praising God.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a level of faith and commitment that I think. If their language wasn't so different to us, we would maybe have a little bit more
Better
of an
understanding.
appreciation
Yeah.
for. It's the same as like when they say Allah Akbar and we get all like, ooh. It's like, oh my God, they're saying God is great. I'm terrified.
Yeah. But they need less saliva. I think it would be also a better like understanding of their languages. The English language, very little saliva needed.
Yes.
And other languages, a lot of saliva. And for some reason, those lot of saliva languages are scarier sounding.
Yeah, well, German specifically.
German, a lot of saliva, scary sounding. Yeah. Even Hebrew, a lot of saliva.
Yeah.
English
Hebrew doesn't sound scary. It's more annoying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That's a specific type. No, they don't all sound like that.
It is annoying, though.
That's like what I meant. Like, both Peruvians and Mexicans are speaking Spanish, but they sound different. Mexicans are more nasally and like...
It's like the difference in English between an Australian,
Yeah.
a British,
Mexicans
a
are
Canadian,
Spanish
and American.
Jews.
Yeah, isn't the Mexican president a Jew?
Oh, maybe. But people are very interested in that guy, right? Is it... Wait, no, is it
No,
him?
that's Argentina.
Is it? I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember.
Because it's a woman in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, no.
They
it's
broke
not
the
that.
glass ceiling down there.
It's not that then. It's one of the ones. There's like... there's
Milal's his name?
I think you might
He's
be
got
right
like
now.
weird 70s soccer hair.
But kind of young, still young and good looking.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Like
that's
Maradona.
Yeah,
the guy. Maradona's
he
brilliant.
surrounds
Yeah, yeah.
himself with strippers.
That I may have side heard about, but I just know that he has like interesting economic ideas for other countries, even that he's
Yeah.
been putting out there. Yeah.
I mean, Hitler had some pretty interesting economic ideas, but nobody wants to talk about those.
Even Lee's like,
Like, not a lot of people will admit to liking Hitler, but everybody loves the Autobahn.
that's true. Is he?
Yes.
He's
That was
connected to the Autobahn.
Yes, there was a public works project that he did. He was like, you know what? We have no jobs. People need jobs. Let's build a giant no speed limit highway that goes across the whole country.
Here's something I was talking with my girl about on the way here, right? With someone coming as president, I'm a believer in, even though I think it's all a fake, whatever non-cabal word I'm supposed to be using now, consortium. How about consortium? Consortium. I am a believer. Remember Dave Chappelle gave that speech of like, let's just give him a chance because like, what else do we want in life? Like, just hey, maybe he'll be great, right? But I was talking about this with my girl. How do you actually help people and improve things? And this was my issue, is that I was listening to a video where somebody was explaining how Jay-Z and Beyonce bought like this $200 million home or whatever. And that is irrelevant to my point, which was I have this, maybe it's being Catholic or whatever, I have this guilt in me where I go, I don't think I could sit with $200 million in my bank account and step over homeless people on the way to like a club and be like, hey, I'm good. Now, I don't believe in like communism exactly where it's like you force people to give, but I'm just like, how do you live with yourself knowing you're so rich and like you don't need that much? You need like $5 million in your bank account realistically. I mean, so how do we help people? Do you think like what could a politician actually do?
Number one, you deport.
All people who look like you.
Do you want to move?
Yeah,
Are you just
My
want a free
dad.
ticket home? What's going
my dad, your dad, deport
I don't
him.
even need first class. Just send me back.
Put me on the boat. Put me on the boat. I will go.
That was Jewish Mexican. It was going back and forth because you went, put me on the boat or I'll go.
me back
on the boat.
I'll pedal it myself.
¿Qué pasa?
No, the big thing that
Yeah.
you can do to help people is what Hitler did. Nationalize the banks. Because the whole problem is that we have private banks right now. So, Doug Ford has this crazy idea where he wants to take Elon Musk's tunnel technology and put a tunnel under the 401. That's going to cost major money. And what we're going to do, because of the way our system is structured, is we're going to borrow that money from banks at interest and then build the shit. And the mafia people that build it are going to sit on their shovels and they're going to inflate the prices.
Yeah.
That's
a thing. Yeah.
That's the whole thing that happens. Whereas if you were to nationalize the bank,
Fucking Italians.
I know. We're back to
Such garbage.
didn't even fucking invent tomatoes. Those fucking cunts.
I mean, Hitler had the same view of the Italians towards the end of the war. He's like, fucking Italians, I picked the wrong allies.
I don't want to stick on this podcast the support of Hitler, but I get the side. Not all.
I'm not saying everything he did was right. I
It's
mean,
too late to
obviously
support
not.
him anyway.
He lost. He lost.
Hitler's
so not
gone.
everything he did was right. Okay.
But you know who's still here? Italians.
Italians. That's
And I
true.
blame their mothers.
But yeah.
That's how Canada used to work, actually. From the middle of the Great Depression till 1974, we had what was called the legal tender system, where the government, when it would do infrastructure or paying the welfare checks or anything like that, it had control of the money supply. It would spend the money into existence, and then we would spend it, and the economy would go. But now we have these private interests, and it's a popular meme to blame
Cartels.
Yeah, we'll call them
Banking
money cartels.
Money cartels,
And
yeah.
to say that it's all Jewish people in that is not true, but it is a popular meme to say. But there are people that work in the banking sector that really don't do any hard labor. They don't do anything that is improving the economy. All they do is speculate over, how long is it going to take the Italian mob to do the shovel work? And then that's like a whole casino game that they play and manage. Now, that's not good for everyone else. That's what gets you to a system where, people have $200 million in their bank because they're playing on this secret casino that is like an open secret.
Here's the only thing I'll say. I have two, I won't say rebuttals, but issues in my head that come up with a thing is one, and you can answer both of them, is one is if I talk about my consortium of people, I do believe the government, a lot of it is corrupt and whatever. So the idea of putting them in charge of something like banking or whatever, have a national bank, I get it. The fucking bankers, they're a problem. But aren't we just dealing with the problem to another person that's also a problem?
So I think the current government can't do that. You have to have some type of people's uprising, populist uprising, where guys like me are the ones managing the system. Because you look at my track record, I think it speaks for itself. I'm not the only person in Canada that's been fighting this fight.
As it'll say in your book, gang stalked.
Yeah.
We need to.
Oh yeah, we should get to that as well.
Yeah, well.
So my other quick question is more on the funny front. Is one thing I will say is I'm always down with speaking badly about Italians, and I get there's a lot of different people. I know Jews are made fun of a lot for controlling this or controlling that. Can we deliver a little time? I will not accept that the people who say that and keep telling me that are, let's go with white Anglo-Saxon people. Why wouldn't they also be the problem as well? Shouldn't it be? They have to be part of the consortium.
They are.
They control way too much
to
to not.
London. This is like the Anglo-Saxons are like a whole thing within it. And so there's a great documentary to check out called the Spider's Web, and it talks all about the British banking empire. And I hate England. I love my mother-in-law. I hate England. If Russia were to nuke England to make an example of it to the Western world, to be, hey, stop fucking around, kurwa, I would be fine with that. Because that's where a lot of this banking problem comes from in the first place.
You're right. Lewis should die.
Yes. You heard it here first. Let's murder Lewis Molds.
This is the worst because he thinks I'm mad at him right now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I'm not mad at you, Lewis. I'm just better at filmmaking. Get over it.
But
Was it the Dirty Jerdy video?
It's just whatever.
well, to be fair, of recent on our podcast, Lewis has sold himself, and I say Lewis has sold himself. Lee and I have described Lewis as he seems like he would be a great, unscrupulous manager of boy bands and stuff like that.
Right.
He has that look to him of
and I feel like he poached my talent in Jerdy, but it is what it is. Jerdy makes his own decisions, so
Well, to be fair, saying Lewis is mad at you, that doesn't mean anything you will say is a problem. He just thinks you're mad at... Oh, sorry, I flipped that. But he thinks you're mad at him.
Yeah, like he thinks I'm gonna do like violence to him or something. Which is again the thing that I hate is like I can't like break somebody's balls or like voice a critical opinion without people thinking I'm gonna murder them. Like, who have I murdered? Who have I haven't. I mean, no one's alive to tell about it.
That's what I was going to say. Is I will say I don't believe you murdered anyone, but I think people who've murdered people would also get on a podcast and go, "Who have I murdered?" Like,
True.
I mean,
Fair.
you have to
It's not a good
act
defense.
as if you haven't murdered, even if you've murdered.
It's true.
All right, but let's get to your book. I don't know anything about this book as much as Lee knows.
I don't know anything.
More.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Lee's not a
Tell
big
us
I know
reader.
a little bit.
Let's go like hacky podcasty and just go tell us about your book.
Okay, so you guys remember January 6th, 2021, right?
Were they invaded?
There was like a big thing that happened in Washington, D.C.
The Capitol. What do they call it? The Capitol.
Yeah,
Storming of the
yeah.
Capitol or whatever. Yeah.
I was part of like a Canadian pseudo militia group at the time, and I was living in Saskatchewan. And I was posting online some of my ideas, and I had a falling out with these guys because they were drunks. They drank a lot, and they were
Saskatchewan.
well, but they were from Nova
Militia.
Scotia. they were
They're only guns.
pseudo militia. Pseudo,
Yeah.
But no, they were from Nova Scotia. But they didn't like that I pointed out that there were some organizational problems that needed to be fixed.
They're just like, have a drink.
Loosen up. And so they got a little butthurt.
You guys haven't done anything. We just bought a 2-4.
Now we're shooting the bottles.
Come on, man. Laugh it off. It's fine when the robots take over.
I have no problem with the robots taking over.
Well, you know.
I think we've had our chance. Go ahead.
And so they decided to sensationalize whatever I was doing. It became this like weird thing where I would read every comment that the hate mob would post on my live chat.
Yeah.
So that turned into a 40-hour ordeal. Because I would like read and interact with and then like they wouldn't understand the bit, and they would be just like, and then so for like 2 hours I'm reacting to their 15 minutes spurging on my chat.
Your child is outside. Dad, are you coming to play catch? I'm reading comments, son.
I'm reading
Daddy's
hateful
working.
remarks. I'm reading hateful remarks, son. And so there was a certain point, like, I'm just not somebody that backs down. You'll have to kill me if that's what you want. So they called the SWAT team because they were, you know...
The guy, the militia called the SWAT.
Because,
well, they called the cops, I assume.
Yeah, they fight dirty.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, oh, we hate the government until, oh, you're disagreeing with us? Oh, you're crazy. You know, so that happened, and that resulted in what's known as the Dinsmore standoff, where I was in a small town of 270
about
people.
that.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and then
I have not. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yes.
oh yeah, no, it was an 8-hour ordeal. And
Like he has a crossbow or something like that.
I mean, I did have a crossbow, but I wasn't using it. I still have a crossbow and airsoft guns and stuff like
No,
that.
I had a cross. And I was just aiming it.
I had a cross and a bow tie. What's the problem? And
We'll
so-
discuss later. My uncle just gave me a compound bow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just as a gift.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's
all right.
a good thing to have. And so, you know, they eventually stormed my house with dogs and tasers.
Okay, but describe the 8 hours, because when we hear 8 hours, a lot of people make it sound like you're returning fire for 8 hours. But I'm assuming it's you're somewhere and they're deciding on their end.
Were you in the middle
when-
of talking shit to these commenters when you hear like, Thomas Zaug, you're surrounded?
I mean, basically.
Yeah?
Basically.
Okay, yeah.
And like they said, I barricaded the door with styrofoam. So it's like, okay, guys, like if you think styrofoam is a barricade for a door, that's interesting. One thing I found interesting in those notes was that, like, you know how you have security lights that turn on and shit?
Sure, yeah.
The cops thought it was a camera, so they shot it.
It's a Walmart security.
Yeah, it's like you guys are fucking retards. And so, you know, eventually they stormed the house after like 8 hours of me just like because I would just live stream and be like, I'm not coming out. You guys just leave me the fuck alone. Because I knew they wanted to put me in the mental institution, which I'm not a fan of the mental institution. My view of mental institutions is that there's maybe 15 to 20% of the people in there are crazy. And like 80% of the people just have the wrong opinion that they don't want you to talk about. And they refuse to, be polite about it. So I ended up going into the psych ward, and I was in there for like 3 weeks. And while I was in there, the RCMP, in their infinite wisdom, keep in mind, at this time, there were 3 Chinese police stations operational on Canadian
I've heard of
soil.
these. That's real. Yeah.
That was going on. There was the 2 Chinese scientists that stole bioweapon secrets from the Winnipeg lab. All that stuff was going on. But they decided it was in the national security interests of Canada to begin a national security investigation titled Project Sobra into a schizophrenic comedian from Toronto that moved to Saskatchewan. Which is, I don't know. That's weird, in my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that's weird.
I think that'll get you some ticket sales.
I mean, it should. I would love if I could get booked somewhere to like tell this story properly, because I can make it funny, but it's just like, think of it like this: the government spent over $1 million in this little excursion to try and put me in jail for 14 years, only to lose to me being a self-represented.
And the guys like that usually don't win the fucking case. Like, I choose to represent myself. They're like, oh, this is gonna be easy.
And like initially, I consulted a lawyer. I paid like $2,000, and she was like, "You're fucked. You have no case. Let me try and negotiate a plea deal for you." And I was like, "Bitch, I don't want a fucking plea deal. Like, I'll do my time like a goddamn man and build an army in there to take this country over." Okay.
So what were you charged with, and what was the crux of your argument to debate that charge, I guess?
So initially, they wanted to charge me with the making of terrorist propaganda.
Okay.
But the Attorney General has to give their permission before they can file that charge. Sure. And the Attorney General looked at their case and was like, "Fuck off, you have nothing." And then so at that point they took the very Soviet thing of like, well, you show me the man, I'll show you the crime. So then they just start like digging around on my YouTube channel to try and find something to charge me with. And then they found like a video essay.
Can we nail him for bad comedy?
I have bombed at so many open mics.
That's what they heard, bomb. Like, oh, he's planning terrorist shit.
Yeah, no, I bombed at so many open mics they think I'm a domestic terrorist.
Let's put it under hate speech, in that I hate his speech.
That's exactly what it was. So they eventually ended up charging me with a YouTube video that I made. There's this guy, Justin Bork. He killed 4 RCMP officers in New Brunswick in 2014 or something. Basically, in the video, I explained that I think the guy deserves a Medal of Freedom because like the police have become militant and an occupying army. And, if somebody has the balls to go kamikaze and stand up to them, we should celebrate them as a hero, even though they're in jail. The RCMP tried to say that was me threatening them. And then I was also critical of this judge that made a very pig-headed ruling in my constitutional case that was like arguing against these mental health laws. And so, I said that the judge was marked. And so those were the 2 charges. It was intimidation of a justice system participant and then uttering threats.
Okay.
And so the judge, when it finally, I guess because like when you get charged to when it goes to trial, there's like a whole rigmarole where they're always trying to get you to plead, because most of the time if you take it to trial, you'll win. That's a little secret about Canadian law.
And to be fair on their process, what I hear is there's a lot of.
If you're right.
Lee knows. There's a lot of cases on their docket, so they also like pleading because it just kind of helps clear. It's like I've worked in offices. Sometimes when people I was helping someone with a question,
but now he's not working.
Yeah, that's true. I love my job. But whenever they were like, "Okay, forget it. You can't help me," I didn't go. I was just like, "Oh, awesome." Like, get that out of there. So I assume also pleading just helps them, clear shit.
Well, and plus, you think of how many bullshit charges the morons that are police lay down on people. they just overcharge all the time. So, that's part of why the court system is clogged, is that, like in Russia, if the cops want to teach you a lesson, they beat the fuck out of you and let you go. Whereas in Canada, they just fuck your life up with paperwork forever. I would rather get a beating than like...
Dude, so some of the moments in my life where I kind of had to shave a bit was as a result from a beating. I'm like, I can't keep healing. I hate healing.
Did you learn that from one of your girlfriends beating you up?
Nah, I would never let them get close. I put my hand on their forehead.
Doing that swing thing.
Why I oughta. Had a few of those.
But so I argued basically a stay of proceedings motion, which I was trying to say that it was an abusive process because after I got out of the psych ward and I decided to leave Saskatchewan and come back to Ontario, they tried to arrest me under their Mental Health Act again in that period before they were able to find new charges to try and stick me with. Mm-hmm. And so my whole argument was like, well, wait a minute. You guys can't use this system that's supposedly there to help my mental health as a means of detaining me while you're trying to find some new charge to charge me with.
Right. And then that's how you won. Is eventually the judge
that's how I got all this extra surveillance notes that's published in the book there that the Crown didn't initially want to disclose to me. Right? Because the whole idea, it's one thing for a guy to be like, a schizophrenic guy to be like, yo, the government's following me. And it's another thing for that schizophrenic guy to be selling a book of the notes that the government took while they were following him.
Right.
So it eventually ended up going to trial because the judge, I think it's Justice Felix, decided he would do the trial first and hear the stay of proceedings motion after.
Justice Felix is just making me laugh.
Yeah, just thinking about
Felix. Yeah.
He's a good judge.
Judge robes.
He was a good judge.
They're too long because his legs are so short.
But the Crown attorney was not ready for the trial.
Right.
The Crown attorney was ready to argue the stay of proceedings motion, as was I. And so since the judge flipped the script essentially and was like, you know what, I'd rather do the trial right now, I took advantage of the fact that I knew the Crown was not prepared to make a good argument. And I said, fine, I'm ready to do the trial right now. Let's go. And so because I had that approach, I basically forced the Crown to argue the case while unprepared as well. Right. So that was...
And which the way things work is if they're trying to charge you with something, the onus of proving something is on them, not on you. So all you have to do is just wait for them to fuck themselves up.
Well, all I have to do is cross the threshold of reasonable doubt.
Right.
And calling yourself the Crown. When you're up against the Crown, it's what, a fucking gold hat? I hate the Crown. That's who I'm up against?
Well, that goes back to the Anglo-Saxons. We have a lot of leftover things from them.
Well, and, part of, I think, why the government views me as a threat is I want to replace the British monarchy with, a Native American equivalent and then have, a representative democracy underneath.
Okay. Here's something I question because from what you were saying, you seem... at least anti the current system of policing.
I thought you were going to say Semitic.
You had some good points earlier.
I'm not racist. I'm anti-Semitic. It's a big difference.
It's an intelligent way of being racist.
No. We're all equally worthless to the Jews, and we have to correct that.
We're goyim.
Hey, I remember from a different podcast, you said the Jews, when you say the Jews, aren't the Jews that the world
devil
sees
worshiping.
as the Jews. Yeah, there's a consortium
of
people, and they may be Anglo-Saxon, they may be Jewish, they may pretend to be Jewish. It doesn't matter.
Most of them are pretending to be Jewish.
And they use the Jewish whatever as a disguise. Right.
Yeah, the Khazar conversion.
But they don't believe in anything. The people that run this planet don't believe in any of our religions. They worship Satan.
Right, they're not
they're fucking pirates.
They're not the Hasid who's
they're ass pirates.
Yeah, total ass pirates.
Well, now you're making it sound cool.
You want to be an ass pirate?
Yeah, it sounds cool. So my question was, with your anti-current policing system, I'll be fair, not to say all police, but your current anti-policing system views... But I would say with some of your other views, you would probably get more support or understanding from people who are a little more right-wing. But then when it comes to anti-current policing system, that's more of a left-wing thing.
Yeah.
Does that ever was that one of the things that sometimes you bump heads with some of these militia or whatever? Like, what doesn't that make it difficult sometimes when you're?
Oh, it's absolutely difficult.
I agree with this, but I agree with this.
It's
and those
like
are two different sides.
I think the right wing has good ideas and the left wing has good ideas. The issue is in our politics when we keep trying to relitigate the Second World War every time we're voting on who's going to be an alderman or the fucking mayor or a prime minister. We're ignoring the fact that, okay, the right wing has some good ideas and the left wing has some good ideas. And it's like being, I guess, what you could call a radical centrist is being able to acknowledge when they have a good idea and when the other people have a good idea, and maybe when the right wing has an idea that's maybe fucked up. Like the idea that somebody is only their genetics and that there is no nurture, there is no like spiritual essence to a person that is beyond their physical form. That's maybe Hitler's biggest mistake, aside from attacking Russia. The belief that
that's more of a strategic mistake. The whole thing.
Yeah, but like the belief that Germanic peoples
are the best.
Like I'm a Germanic people. I think we're great, but I mean, are we the best? I mean, we're good at what we're good at, but I mean, where's
hating Jews?
Well, that's not.
I'm joking.
We're good at like designing Volvo and the Autobahn
yeah.
and like Prussia, which is a country that doesn't exist anymore,
Correct.
or like military strategy. Sometimes, like those are what we're good at.
No. I'm a believer in that. I like the idea of not even the center, but just like if I like your ideas, I might vote for your party.
Yeah, let's focus on good ideas.
Yeah.
Like, that don't harm or like I don't know. It's like I think it's difficult because what's a good idea to a lot of people might be a bad idea to a lot of other people. So where do you meet in the middle? You can't. So it's going to be a never-ending fight.
Well, but it's like it shouldn't be a fight to begin with. It should be a dialogue. Like this whole thing about bike lanes. Like let's bring it back to bike lanes, right? They want to put bike lanes in Mississauga.
I just want to say everything Lee said was correct, but something feels so disingenuous about everything that Lee says when he speaks. I was listening to him and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh, what a piece of shit. Yeah, bike lanes. They want to bring bike lanes to Mississauga.
Which is a stupid idea.
I know what you mean.
Like, bike lanes in Mississauga is a stupid fucking idea. It doesn't make any sense for a bike lane to be in Mississauga.
It's not a biking city. It's
it's a car city.
It's mostly highways and like not highways, but like very like 3-lane roads that nobody bikes in. They shouldn't have turned like even Toronto. A lot of parts that they turn into like bikey areas. I'm like, you've slowed down traffic so much.
Well, but that's also because they dropped the speed limit to 40 from 60, which was another stupid idea. But the idea, like, that we can't point out because, like, for me to point that out, it's a right wing, left. It's like that has nothing to do with fascism versus communism.
What they do with that one is they try to fucking. I don't know if I'm using this. My girlfriend recently told me I don't know the real use of this word, but I'm going to use it. They gaslight you by when you complain about, hey, this speed limit used to be 60. On this road, it's 50. I just got a ticket because I'm going 60 that used to be 60.
You're wrong. That's not what gaslight means. It's when you're almost out of fuel in your car. That's gaslighting. That's gaslighting. That's gaslighting.
No, when you say those arguments, fucking asshole. You know what their engine lighting mean?
Why I'm laughing because of the thing you said about when I'm trying to be sincere is because it does sound like I just said, all kidding aside, guys.
Yeah. Hey,
proceeds to kid.
I'm just like incapable of being serious.
No, but when you make that speed limit argument or whatever, like you argue like, and I'm of the belief that they just did that to make money off of us, off of more tickets and stuff like that, right? They go, well, it's because a lot of kids are getting hit by cars.
Show me the stats.
Yeah.
Show me the fucking stats of dead kids being hit by cars in Toronto. I just don't.
I don't think the problem is dead kids being hit by cars. It's live kids being hit by cars.
I mean, yeah, no one cares.
Dead kids in the road.
I'm just like,
fuck that. I'll run over a dead kid to get to work on time.
Dead kid doesn't matter. See, every day we become more and more like China.
No, it's I agree. I've heard that argument, and I'm like, what are the stats? And fuck bikes. I don't have a real stat on that one. I just don't. I don't like cyclists.
I mean, the people that ride bikes are pretty fucking arrogant.
Yeah.
As far as like, just the bullshit that these bike people. It's just like, relax. I could have killed you on accident. So
and their
just
wardrobe,
fucking chill.
and
Yeah,
that
the
fucking
wardrobe
gear
thing.
that they put on.
Like,
You gotta be an arrogant, like fat-headed asshole to wear that shit.
like I feel like if you're gonna ride a bike in the city of Toronto, you should at least also know how to drive a car, so you understand how to interact with the other thing. You know,
That's what I think they need to figure out is some sort of legal repercussion for like I drive a car. There's if I break a law and I'm caught doing it, I can think, but I can't figure out how the person who just bought a bike and decide to ride it through the city, they pass red lights and stop signs all the time. They just blow past them.
Oh,
That's
I know.
my biggest issue is that.
I used to do that on my bike actually, and a cop warned me about it. So it's like the cops. It's a lot of the time it comes down to an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
Like, are the cops willing to enforce the law? It's the same with like when you go to Regent Park or whatever, and you just see guys cracked out on the street, and like you can arrest people for being intoxicated in public. They don't, but they could.
They could,
but they don't. But they could, and like. If there was rehab set up in jail to dry these people out, maybe that would be for their best interest.
That's a real thing. They haven't figured. I think with the jail thing, we haven't decided as a society whether it's the Canadian society or North American or Western society. Is we're teetering between some people believe jail is just a punishment, like fuck you, it doesn't, and then other people pretend it's some sort of what's the word? Rehabilitation type of thing, but none of it is very rehab-ish. So we're
needs
just
an overhaul.
teetering between two things.
It needs an overhaul. I think like with the rule of parole, like you do 2/3 of your time, you get parole.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be some caveats, like get your GED while you're in there.
Right, right.
If you're going away for 10, 15 years, you better be coming out with a bachelor's degree. Like that.
Then who would hire that guy?
Well,
imagine if you're so educated in jail and you come out. Oh yeah, I know. I could be a doctor. I'm like, well, I don't want that. It's like that felon.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
convicted
Other
rapist.
criminals will hire that guy to be their doctor for the mob, which is fine. There's a mob doctor now. Like,
Yeah. I thought they're usually vets.
So instead of like a health card, you got a criminal card.
Veterinarians. Sorry.
Veterinarians too. But you could get better quality care for the mafia. Guy does 10 years, comes out as a surgeon.
The mafia kind of, besides the construction stuff, they're kind of on a low right now anyway, right?
I mean, my biggest beef with the mafia...
They're Italian.
...is the... I mean, that's not so much. Is the drugs...
Idiots.
And the prostitution.
Yeah, and house music.
I mean, I'm okay with house music. But, like, if the mafia got into moving, like, magic mushrooms, LSD, fucking raw milk, I'd love them.
But, so this is a thing, and maybe this was never a thing in Canada, but I watch a lot of former mafia guy interviews or whatever. Like, Michael Francis is probably the number one I watch, but there's others. And there's this thing that they always say, the rule in La Cosa Nostra was no drug dealing. Now, he says... Obviously, some people did it because everybody wants to make money, but technically the rule on the books was no drug dealing. But is that like gone out the window, or maybe it was never a thing in Canada because the Cosa Nostra is U.S. technically?
Yeah. In Canada, it's like you have different factions between like the Albanians, the Russians, the Italians, and then you have like different Italian groups. In
Even here,
cities.
like the Persian mob, I heard is pretty big.
It's up and coming.
Yeah.
They're on the come up. And then
Yeah.
you also have like the Hells Angels, which, unfortunately, the Hells Angels they're part of fucking moving Fent. And they're getting a bunch of packies to do it, which is like, fuck. First of all, those are white jobs as a drug dealer, and you're taking our jobs, and then you're killing white people, which is, I hate to bring this up, but what do you think the global percentage is of white?
Oh, in the globe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to throw out like 40%.
Unfortunately, not 100%.
At least dating wise.
It's less than 12% of the world is white.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a certain point where I would say that every race plays a role in the canvas of humanity, and the white people are kind of like the white blood cells. You know, we notice when shit's not right, and sometimes we fucking we got to throw down over it. But
I would
now,
also argue sometimes you guys make shit not right and then pretend like you didn't.
I mean,
sometimes
that's
you
also
cause
true.
the AIDS.
Yeah.
That's what AIDS is. AIDS is when the white blood cells attack the body and it gets all.
No. Okay, all right. There's a full metaphor to this.
Yeah. So I'm
I
not
knowing
saying
that
we're
there's only
perfect.
12% white
You know.
people because now I know I could say I have a fetish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're fetish.
we are the world's minority. You know,
you guys
that's
are
a
so
fact.
hot. Yeah.
Interesting thing though is the darker you get of people, because I know this from knowing people. Some people who are darker skinned, they go that percentage is higher because to me, like I've
They're more of the earth.
well no they'll argue they're like like light skinned Persians or something like that. Those are just white people to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're so white looking that it's like, I know you're not white culturally or
I mean,
whatever.
I consider
but, like,
white Persians white. I
Yeah,
consider
yeah.
white Palestinians white.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was going to say. What was I going to say? We're almost done. We'll talk about the book before we end. But oh fuck, I forget. It was a stupid joke. I know that.
About whites being the minority now.
No, that's the way I like it. No. Anyway, we're almost done. So your book, where can they get your book, and anything else you want to say about the book? Like,
so-
it's just your story of everything you went through in your battle with the government.
Oh yeah. So I guess
yeah.
to dovetail the end of how I beat the charge is
Yeah,
maybe the big question. So the book is called Gang Stalked: How the World's Largest Street Gang Went Up Against Canada's Least Talented Comedian and Lost. Which is, that's what
It's
happened.
like a Borat movie. Like it's got the longest title.
What?
It's great.
And also, you wrote a book about Lee Fernandez.
But I love this book too already because it's mostly the notes that the police took down.
Yeah.
So like Zaug figured out
He didn't have to write that much.
He just took all their notes and made a book out of it.
It's a pop-up book of his charges.
I did just kind
You
of boom
open it
boom.
up and it's a pop-up of them breaking down his door in Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah. You go like this, and you can see the cop's leg kicking the door.
It's a big thing.
Wait, where can they get them?
On
where can they get the
Amazon.
book?
It's
Amazon.
It's on
Okay, yeah,
Amazon. I sell it for $55 because Uncle Jeff has to get his cut, and I got a kid to feed now.
True.
But it's also like, that's over 550 pages of just like the insanity of what is Canada's police state. I write 3 chapters at the beginning and an epilogue at the end. How I beat the charge. So when I said Justice Sosin was marked, that was like the main charge that they were
Marked means targeted.
Well, what does marked mean? That was what it became, and so the Crown
Naming your child Mark.
Well, I mean, could
You've
be-
been marked.
and so the Crown tried to make whatever argument that I'm like some mafia guy and I marked a judge and that's what it meant.
Yeah.
But my rebuttal was, well, Your Honor, if you look at episode 3 of my YouTube channel, you'll see that I very clearly believe I'm a prophet of God.
Trying to get subscribed.
He's getting views.
Click that subscribe button, Joe.
That's right. Subscribe, Thomas Zaug.
And also, Judge, while you're looking at the video, if you'll comment, I just heard it helps with the algorithm.
Just like and share.
Seriously, they watched all my videos, not a single like, not a single comment.
And that's the real crime.
It is.
You know, at least one time, one of the fucking paralegals clicked like by accident and had to unlike.
And look over both his shoulders like, oh no.
Oh, jeez.
It's the same thing when I see pictures of my girl's best friends. Like, I'm like, oh shit.
But so the argument that I made to the judge was that, Your Honor, since, as you can see on the channel, I very clearly believe I'm a prophet of God, and then I put the verse of the Bible in Genesis that talks about the mark of Cain.
Your judge was Pontius Pilate.
He washed his hands. I talk. There's a verse in the Bible where it describes the mark of Cain, and how like the mark of Cain is actually to make an example of Cain, but it's also a protection. So no one's to fuck with Cain,
Right.
But everyone's supposed to know that Cain fucked up. And so the argument I made is, Your Honor, if a guy believes that he's a prophet of God, wouldn't it stand to reason that when he uses the word marked, he would use it in the same way that it's used in the Bible? And so the judge had to accept that was reasonable doubt.
I have the mark of cocaine.
The mistake many people make is they believe that they have to prove their innocence. And if you try and prove your innocence, you end up making yourself look more guilty. But if you raise reasonable doubt, that's enough. Yeah. And you know what the best thing about being found not guilty is? Being guilty.
Well, that's been our episode, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Pick up Gang Stalked on Amazon by Thomas Zaug and check out his YouTube channel if it's still up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.